welcome into Nebraska Shoot Around. Anna and Mike back with you. Women's team on a 5-game win streak, 23 in the country. What have you liked about this team and the role that they're on?
I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to see their game against Chattanooga, but I saw Tarleton State in the game before that, so 2 in a row. Their balance has been really good. Maya Hargrove has been really, really good off the bench. Wasn't great against Chattanooga. I guess didn't make a shot, but they really didn't need her to be. But their depth and their balance showed. Alexis Markowski was great. Britt Prince was really good against Tarleton State. Kind of cooled off a little bit against Chattanooga, but they're right where they need to be. 23 in the country. Now the next 3 games, little tough. All on the road, and you have at Georgia Tech, and then you take that LA trip with 2 of the top 10 teams in the country on the road, back-to-back games. So your 3 games in a row are pretty tough coming up here, but they have done what they needed to do as far as non-conference schedule so far. And then at Georgia Tech is 17th in the country, and Nebraska's 23rd. So could be fairly evenly matched, but Georgia Tech hasn't lost this year.
Yep. So the Tarleton State game, Alexis Markowski setting some more history for herself and just cementing herself as one of the best players to ever come through Nebraska.
Yeah, I feel like, it's probably a matter of time that she is going to get her jersey retired, because she's the 4th player in school history to have 1,500 points and 1,000 rebounds. And those other 3 are Karen Jennings, Kelsey Griffin, and Jordan Hooper, who those 3 players have their number in jersey retired. There's only 4 people that have done it, and the other 3 have been All-Americans or were All-Americans. So it's super rare. She again deflected to just want to win, have great teammates, don't care about that stuff. But I know deep down you got to probably at the end of the day she's going to end up carrying.
Yeah.
I think so. She did it. Her 10th point against Tarleton State was 2:54 of the first quarter, and that's when she surpassed her 1,500 points. So pretty cool. It's obviously a very rare feat, and she's going to go down as one of the best players in Nebraska women's basketball history.
You think she's talked about across the nation enough?
No, probably not.
Yeah. I think she should get more credit.
She's got a couple big games coming up here, though. Against
She can put her name more on the map.
Yeah, some good posts that obviously UCLA is just huge, and then USC really good and big too. So if she can kind of handle her own there, I think she'll be fine.
Yeah, so that upcoming schedule we're talking about, at number 17 Georgia Tech, at number 1 UCLA, and then at number 7 USC. So the road only gets tougher for Nebraska, but at least you've had some get-right games before. They're still dealing, obviously, with the injury to Natalie Potts. She's out for the year with that ACL, so they've had some time to figure out what they're going to do in her absence. Have you felt that absence a lot? I know the opponents haven't been too damaging in that aspect, but
they started Kendall Coley for a couple games in a row, and then against Chattanooga they went 3 guards with Birdie Rimdahl, and it kind of in that spot. So it's been, and Amaya Hargrove started too, so maybe her coming back off the bench. You have Britt Prince, Callan Hake, Birdie Rimdahl, Alexis, and Amaya Hargrove were the starters against Chattanooga, and Amaya was coming off the bench. Kendall had started. They kind of flipped that, and I think maybe going back and flipping it back the other way maybe helps. But Amaya had 7 rebounds against Chattanooga, so that's pretty good. And Kendall did make her 2 shots. She's not a big time scoring threat, but her length I think really helps. So we'll see. And a lot of it, and Coach Williams said this earlier in the year, a lot of it is just based off of matchups and who they're playing. So
they have so many options and they can do that.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think for the most part, the ladies they not really care, right? Like it doesn't really matter because they know they're all going to play. I mean, they're going to play significant minutes. They're going to get their opportunities. Everyone that got in the game against Chattanooga played a minimum of 13 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a lot, right? So
there's no 5 starters that are playing 38 minutes.
Yeah. 3-point shooting, though, the last couple games has been a little bit of a question. 32% as a team against Chattanooga. They were 31% against Tarleton. So kind of like, need to maybe get that to the mid-30s is where they probably need to be. And Coach Williams said this after Tarleton, a lot of teams in the country would be happy shooting 31%. Yeah. I don't know if they are, though, because their offense needs that.
Well, I think they'll need that 3-point shooting with their upcoming schedule. Let's flip over to the men's side. Indiana win, a huge one, a ranked win.
Huge win.
For the men's team at home, a place where I guess all teams go to die in Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Yes, so that's been 11 straight conference wins at Pinnacle Bank Arena because they won all 10 last year. Won this one this year. It's 18 in a row at home that they've won.
Their last loss was against Creighton.
Last year.
Season.
Yeah, so it's PBA. They play really well there. And frankly, like Indiana is extremely talented. The roster is great. They're just really poorly coached. When Indiana took 36 3-pointers, that's the most that Mike Woodson team, not NBA, has attempted in a game. And that was the recipe. It's the same recipe.
They dared them.
They used against Creighton. Creighton shot 41, and that was the most that a Coach Mack led team has ever attempted. So it's the same thing, and they kind of had the same result. Close game, and it was the game was closer than the final score. Now, Indiana, I don't know. I mean, basketball means a lot more to people in Indiana, right? I don't know how I would be handling a 17-1 run to end a game. Like, that's what Nebraska did. That's incredible, first of all. And just they showed life, and then they didn't, and they had a bunch of fouls and foul trouble. And Bryce Williams was amazing. It was
30 points.
Yeah, it was his best overall game at Nebraska. It's his most as far as scoring points at Nebraska since he's been at Nebraska. His career high is 32 when he was at Charlotte. So his career high at Nebraska was 28 before that game. He was making shots that were just difficult, but he was also getting downhill really with ease. It wasn't an issue at all. Nebraska didn't shoot the ball extremely well, but they were pretty good, I guess. Inside the 2-point arc, they were very good. I will say free throw shooting took a dip. They were 77% coming into the game, and they finished at 65%. 17 of 26. That's still not bad. But like, if you need it, if it was a close game all the way until the last 6 minutes, it could have really, really mattered. If you're at 77% of 26, that's another 3-4 points that they could have had. So Juwan Gary had a nice game with 14. Connor Season came off the bench. They went back to that big lineup with Berke at the 4 and Juwan at the 3 and Bryce to start the game. Raleigh Worcester was good until he got into foul trouble. And then Andrew Morgan. Andrew Morgan's been the guy for them that has, in the last couple of games, has really made an impact, a really big impact. And he had 10 points in 17 minutes, and he had 2 quick fouls in the first half, which I think he played 3 minutes and scored 2 points and didn't have a rebound at all in the first half, but he finished the game with 10 and 5. So if he can get that off the bench, that's huge. That Indiana game, just a momentum changing kind of game, especially coming off of getting crushed by Michigan State on the road, and the feeling and the fan base kind of like, what is this going to be?
There was question marks for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So handling Indiana was something, and Nebraska outscored Indiana 36-24 points in the paint. Never would have thought that coming into the game, to be honest, because Indiana takes a ton of twos, not a lot of threes. Normally, when they shoot threes, they make them, but they don't take a lot. So, I mean, they were 8 of 35 from three. So Nebraska's post defense is tremendous, and it's probably the best in the country. And they've done it now twice to people like Ryan Kalkbrenner and Omar Ballo, who are frankly making a ton of money to be their their team centers, and they've shut them both down. So it's a very good win for Nebraska and gave them a lot of confidence. They moved up in all the metrics, I guess, if you will. So yeah, it's something. I mean, Nebraska is now 54th in the net rankings, which is 12th in the Big Ten. Big Ten is just a bear. And then they moved to 54th in KenPom when they were 70 something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously, I would say, very important, if you will. Yep. So, and then back to free throw shooting. So I looked this up, I guess, this morning. 24.2% of Nebraska's points are coming from the free throw line. That free throw line distribution rate is 23rd in the country. And Bryce Williams ranks 49th in the country at fouls drawn, which is 6.8 per 40 minutes. Andrew Morgan is 32nd at 7.0.
Nice.
in that stat. So yeah,
he's quietly doing some damage.
Morgan's making the most of his time on the court. So it's he's being pretty impactful, if you will. Okay. And they're just getting to the free throw line. I mean, they just really are. So it's obviously a key for them.
And this team heads out to Hawaii for a multi-team event. Murray State, Charlotte, Hawaii. So they'll face Murray State first, and then they'll get the opponent between Charlotte or Hawaii. Thoughts on that Murray State game and the importance of a win? Yeah,
Murray State is the highest, or Loyola, I guess, is receiving votes as far as KenPom net rankings and those sort of things. It's Murray State and Loyola are the highest in this field of eight teams. That Murray State beating Murray State would go a long way because Murray State's probably going to win their league. They're one of the best teams in the league. They're going to win a ton of games. They have an opportunity, Nebraska does, if they beat Murray State, and then if they and then they would play the winner of Charlotte or Hawaii. They would likely face Loyola, Chicago, who just has one loss. And Loyola would be a quad 1 or quad 2. So Murray State and Loyola would be quad 1, quad 2, probably eventually quad 1 wins if they can beat them in this tournament. So it's a pretty big deal to get out of this with maybe just one loss. I said that forever now. Said it multiple times. You can only afford maybe one loss in this. And hopefully, it's not to Murray State for Nebraska or the people that cover Nebraska men's basketball, because that means they would be playing on Christmas Eve at 11:30 p.m. Oh, if they lost to Murray State.
Okay, so there's a lot on the line.
Yeah, like sleep.
The Christmas presents are on the line.
Yeah, Christmas presents are definitely on the line there. So, it's a nice MTE. I mean, Oregon State, College of Charleston, Loyola, and Oakland are on the other side of Nebraska.
Kind of all trap games.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, again, I think that one of the three, Nebraska, Murray State, or Loyola, is probably going to win the thing.
Yeah.
So what Nebraska can't afford to do is lose to Murray State and then lose to Charlotte and Hawaii. I mean, you can't.
That would tank
can't lose to Charlotte or Hawaii. So they need to at least go 2-1, if not 3-0. They, frankly, them or Loyola should probably be the team to win it.
Well, that's it for Nebraska Shoot Around. We wish you the best holidays and a happy new year, because we won't talk to you until 2025. So we'll see you guys next year. Thanks so much for joining us today.
See ya next year.
Happy New Year.